students. In today's session, we will begin with the next unit, that is unit number 2. Okay. So in this unit, we are going to discuss the topics such as the overview of a C programming, that is the brief introduction to C programming and its characteristics, then operators and expressions, library functions. So in today's session, we will begin with the first part, that is overview of the C. So the overview, we say that C programming is the high level language. High level means earlier we had studied students that the programming languages can be divided or classified into low level languages and high level languages. Okay, wherein we had seen certain examples for the low level as machine level and the assembler, or that is assembly level languages. Right. So C, we call it to be a high level because the instructions or the code what we write, it is going to be little high. For high means it is going to be a high level for the computer. Computer will not be able to straight away going to understand the what instructions a programmer has written in this particular programming language. But on the other hand, if we do make use of the C programming language, it will be easy to remember the code, or it will be easy to understand the instructions or the code what we write for the programmer point of view. Okay, so we call it to be a high level language. We also call C programming language as a procedure oriented programming language. So basically the programming languages in another context we can classify into the different types. Among them there are two main different types. One is the procedure oriented and second one is object oriented. So basically in this particular semester, since you are learning C programming, we call C programming is also as a procedure oriented. Oriented or orientation means it is like a focus. Focus is more on what? More on the procedure. So here what do we mean by the procedure? Say procedure in the sense, in a simple term, we can say procedure means if we wish to do certain tasks. Okay, if we want to perform some action, some particular say work, we might be doing certain tasks. So those tasks we can call it to be a procedure, a set of tasks in order to perform one particular work, right? So that work can be here called as a procedure. So this in the C programming, the orientation or the focus is on such task, we call it as a procedures. So in other context, we can say procedure is nothing but it is a collection of statements which have to be executed, right? And all those statements will be doing one particular task or one particular job. We will focus more on this particular procedure oriented once we begin with writing the codes. Okay. Yes. Next, the C programming is basically, it was developed by a person called as Dennis Ritchie in the year 1972. Okay, he was one of the scholar at the AT&T Bell Laboratories, and at that this particular person Dennis Ritchie has developed the C programming language. Earlier, when this particular C programming language was developed, it was mainly used by the scholars. Okay, but later it started gaining the popularity, and people started using this C programming in order to write the softwares. Okay. Yes. So what are the features of this C programming language? Here I'm going to deal with only main features. The first one is robust. So robust means a wide range of things, right? Basically this C programming language contains a very good or a very rich set of operators and the built-in functions. So something called as there is another concept called as a functions. This function is more related to the thing what we discussed earlier, that is procedure oriented. Function, sometimes we can call it as a procedure also, right? So the C programming has got its own functions. We call them to be a built-in functions. Some functions are there which will do certain tasks, and these functions are already there in the C programming language. We call it to be a compiler. Okay, in those particular compiler, the C libraries, it has the built-in functions which does a particular task. So a very good, very rich set of functions are there, and a very wide range of operators are there. These operators are used to perform certain special operations. So since it contains all these rich features, we call it to be a very robust programming language. We do also call the C programming language as a middle level language. So here middle level language, it is associated with the type of the programs or the type of the softwares which we develop using the C. Okay, so softwares can be divided into two different types. First type is what we call it to be a system software. Okay, we call it to be a system software, and second type we call it to be a application software. Okay, you will study these different terms in the computer fundamentals. Just to highlight here what this system software and application software means. The software is basically what? It is a collection of programs, right? That is what we have studied earlier in the introduction part. The software is nothing but it is a group of or a collection of programs. Okay, this software can be of two types. One is the system and the application. To give just simple examples here, I will be giving just examples of these types. Say you might be using the computer, and the computer might be having one particular operating system, right? Say Windows is the operating system, Windows XP, Windows 7, right? So what are these operating systems? These operating systems are nothing but certain softwares. Such softwares we call it to be a system softwares. These are very essential softwares which are required in order to work. If the system has to be, if a computer has to work, certain softwares have to be there. So those softwares we call it to be a system softwares. Okay. On the other hand, there are certain types of softwares we call it to be a application software. Say for an example here, on the computer, if you wish to write your resume, right, your details or your biodata, what you make use of? You make use of an application, okay, called as Microsoft Word, right? That Microsoft Word is nothing but a software, and it falls under the category of application. One particular type of a task will be done by the software. Okay, such type of softwares we call them to be a application software. Like other examples, Microsoft Excel, or it could be a building software which may be used in one of the sales department or in any of the say shop owners. They might be using certain softwares. Such type of softwares we call it to be a application software. Okay, then system software means these are the software which are essential in order to a particular computer has to work, right? So those softwares we call it to be a system software. Okay, this background information why we are discussing here, because C is a middle level, means using C programming we can develop system softwares as well as application softwares. In other terms, we can develop the system programs or application programs. So we call it to be a middle level language. The next feature is portable. Portable in the sense, if the program is written on one particular computer or one machine, the same program can be executed on the other machine. That is what the adaptability from one particular, if the program, suppose you might be writing a software, right? You might be creating a software on one particular system, but eventually you may not be able, you may be willing to execute on some certain other systems, right? In such cases, the programming language should support portability. So that portability is achieved in C programming, meaning that if you write a program on one computer, that can be easily executed on the another computer or another machine. The another feature is extensibility. Right, extensibility is something, it deals with the functionalities. Say you have developed a particular software, right? That software might be having say some 5 features, right? You have developed a software, in the sense you have written certain program, and those programs contains 5 different functionalities, right? And you give it this particular, assume that you are a developer and you have developed the software which contains 5 functionalities, and you have given it to the user or to the customer. Say the customer starts using that particular software, and later he says that he wants to add a few more functionalities to it. Basically, he wants to add, say for an example, he wants to add 2 more functions. Means extension of the functionality has to be done, or certain existing functions have to be modified. Right? You want to do certain kind of a maintaining this particular software, either by modifying certain existing functions or by adding the new functions into the software, right? In order to do this task, that is extensibility has to be done. In such cases, C programming language supports that. Okay, so if we are using if a developer is using a C program to develop a software, then it is possible to do, that is, extensibility is possible over there. Additional functions can be added into the software as and when the customer demands. So that can be supported. So these are the few simple features of the C programming language. The next is very important, that is the character set. So before I explain what character set is, let me give another type of analogy here why we want to learn this something character set. Okay, now say if a person wants to learn any language, okay, here I am not concerned with the programming languages, any languages like English, Kannada, Marathi, or a Hindi, right? Telugu, Tamil, any particular language, if one wishes to learn, first they have to learn the characters or the alphabets of that particular language, right? So they have to get acquainted with what are the characters or the alphabets of that particular language has, and then making use of those characters, right? How to construct a word and then how to construct a sentence have to be learned, right? The same concept even applicable for the similar, not the same, the similar concept is applicable for the programming languages also. So each of the programming languages have their own set of characters. So those set of characters we call it to be a character set. So the C program has a different character set, like a lower case alphabets too, that is A to Z. So why I have mentioned here alphabet lowercase, because the cases, that is lowercase and the uppercase, are different in the C programming languages. What it means is that at any instant if I write a lowercase a, that lowercase a is different than what a uppercase a is. Okay, so that's why lower cases are different and upper cases are, alphabets are different. Okay, then they do have the character set also includes the digits. Digits means the numbers, that is starting from 0 to 9. So all the numbers can be used. Okay, then other characters means certain special characters like the operators like plus, minus, star, and dollar symbol, right? So all these are also a part of the characters. You may notice here the brackets are there. Okay, percentage symbol is there, exclamatory mark is there, comma, colon, semicolon. So all these are what the other type of characters what the C programming character set contains. Along with this, it also contains something called as a white space characters. So white space characters are basically invisible. Invisible in the sense, for an example, the space bar. When you type a space bar, does it get displayed? No, we just see an empty space, one character space we see. So that space can also be, that space is also one of the character of the C programming. It has certain meaning over there, right? New line character. New line character means when we press the enter button, that is enter key on the keyboard, the cursor will go jump to the next line. Cursor will jump onto the next line. So that enter is also another character, right? Basically, these all white space characters, we space, new line space, and a tab space also. So there is one more key called as a tab on the keyboard. When you press on that one, the horizontally certain spaces will it will take, and it will be empty spaces will be printed. So all these are what the character set of the C programming, right? So if we know all these character sets, then we can it will be easy for a user or a programmer to learn the programming language. Just to highlight here, the lowercase and uppercase alphabets are different things. Okay, so once the characters are known, then there is something called as an tokens. Tokens, we call it to be a very smallest individual unit in any programming language, not only in C programming, in any of the programming languages. Tokens means the smallest individual unit. It could be a single character or it could be a word also, right? So a collection of characters, that is words. So a very if a user or a programmer make use of those particular characters or the words, and if that provides a meaningful information, certain meaning, then such things we call it to be a tokens. The tokens, we will learn these tokens in detail, that is under the classifications. So the classification of the tokens, we can have a keywords, special symbols, identifiers, variables, constants, and operators. Let us go ahead and learn each one of these classifications of the tokens. The first one is the keywords. So basically the keywords are what? These are the reserved words. Reserved word means they have certain predefined meaning. The compiler, we will learn the compiler later. Okay, this is some word you are hearing now, that is compiler, new to you. But once we start with the program execution and the programming concept, during that time I will elaborately explain what a compiler is. Okay, if you recall earlier when we were studying uh, different types of programming languages, right? Assembly level language, high level language. At that time, we had come across with some word, that is compiler, that is translator. Okay, the compiler is one of the translator. Okay, we will learn it later in the later stage. So in a C programming language, the compiler associated with that has certain predefined words. We call it to be a reserved words. Sometimes we call them to be reserved words. So what those words are, they have certain predefined meaning. Predefined means the meaning of that particular word is already being defined in the compiler, right? That meaning cannot be changed by the programmer or the user when they make use in the program. Okay, so examples we will see. Certain examples are if, for, file, int, char, float, return. So on the other side here I have given the all the 12 keywords, that is sorry 32 keywords which are supported in C programming language. For an example, let us say some simple example. There is something called as an if here, right? If we had come across this particular word while writing in the algorithms, right, for to handle certain conditions. So if we use this particular keyword, that is if, I, F both are in lower case, that has to be remembered. Case sensitive, the words whatever we have written here, each of the characters have the case sensitivity. Case sensitivity means if it is lowercase, we have to use it as a lowercase alphabet only. If it is written in an uppercase, we have to use them in a uppercase only. But for interestingly, all the keywords of the C programming all are in lowercase letter itself. So here for an example, if means it is used to define the conditional control statement. Okay, if a programmer wishes to utilize certain conditions, okay, in the programming concept, then they have to write something called as an if and followed by certain things. So each of these keywords have some predefined meaning. If one writes the if, then its meaning cannot be changed. Okay, that's what we call it to be a keywords. Okay, these are the reserved words. It has a predefined meaning, means the compiler has set certain meaning to each of the these keywords. We cannot change those particular meaning, and these cannot be defined. Defined in the sense we cannot alter. The user can use them, but it cannot be defined, means it cannot be modified. The next is special symbols. Special symbols, again, these are something which are the predefined again. Certain type of symbols are there which have a special meaning again. So for an example here, few of the examples I have given. First one is the colon, right? Semicolon. First one is the semicolon here. So what this semicolon means, it has got its own meaning here. The compiler has defined the meaning of this semicolon, right? So it is used to terminate every statement. Statement in the sense, in C programming we do write certain instructions, right? So those instructions we call them to be a statements. If I want to separate the instructions, then I need to provide the semicolon. Whenever I write this semicolon, that indicates that that particular instruction is getting terminated there, it is ending there, right? So in order to do that one, I should be using a symbol called as a semicolon. Then there is a comma. Comma means if I want to write something, I want to make use or write certain symbols of the same, which might be having a same names. For an example, variables. We will learn what variables is. If I want to define some many variables, then each of the variables should be separated by the comma. We will learn in detail once we make use of them. As of now, only just go ahead with the one example here. Okay, so special symbols means these also again have the special meaning which have been defined by the C programming compiler. Okay, difference between keywords and define the special symbols is that the keywords will be having a group of characters, that is the words, where in the symbols they will be a single letter or a single character. Okay, then the next is identifier. The very important, the concept have to be learned very properly here. The identifier is something, suppose, so far the previously what we have seen, the keywords and the symbols, special symbols, right? So those are something which the compiler has defined themselves, right? Those have been defined in the compiler itself. Now, if a user wants to define something, if a user wants to give certain names to certain entities, right, like variables, constants, functions, something user wants to write them himself or herself in the programming language to identify certain things, right? So in such cases, that have to be done by using the something called as identifiers. These are nothing but these are the names a user provides to what? To variables, to constant or the functions or any other things. Basically, the identifiers are nothing but these are the names given by the user to identify certain things. Okay, it could be the variables or the constants or the functions. Okay, then these are user, as I said, these are going to be the user defined. User defined in the sense the programmer defined, right? Okay, there are certain rules. If a user wants to write certain things, then there are certain rules associated with. Like how if you wish to learn the on any particular languages, the language, the how you write the language or how you make the sentences or how you read the sentences or speak the sentences, there are certain rules associated with that, certain grammars associated with that. The same way, if a programmer has to write certain identifiers, then there are certain rules that have to be followed. So the first rule is that the identifier can contain alphabets, it can contain digits, and it can contain one special character by the name underscore. Okay, means when a programmer wants to name some things, certain things, then he has to make use of the identifier. That identifier can be written, that name can be given, that name may consist of alphabets, digits, and underscore. You might be wondering where this particular underscore character is there on the keyboard. Okay, if you notice here on the top line where the numbers are written, it is from starting from 1 to 0 and minus sign and equals to. So between this 0 and equals to there is one key, okay, which looks like a dash. There is a dash or a minus sign, right? The upper one what you have, this is what we call it to be a underscore. If you wish to type this one, first you have to press shift button and then the key, or else together shift and that particular key can be pressed in order to display or in order to print or type underscore letter. So identifier contain the alphabets, digits, and underscore. Okay, that is first rule. Second rule is that the identifier, that is the name, cannot start with the digit. It cannot start with the digits. We'll see examples after reading through this particular rules. Okay, then it cannot start with the digits means the first letter of the identifier, it cannot be a digit, but it can be what? It can be alphabet or it can be underscore, but it cannot be a digit. In middle or at the end of the name, we may use the digits, but not at the first letter, but not as a first letter. Then next is case sensitive. As I said earlier, case sensitive means the alphabets, that is lowercase alphabets and uppercase alphabet, both are different. Lowercase a is different, uppercase a is different. So both the characters, alphabets are different here. Okay. Then keywords cannot be used as identifiers, right? Keywords are what? They have some predefined meaning, right? Those meaning cannot be modified by the programmer. That means the programmer cannot use the keywords as the identifier. Blank spaces cannot be used. Blank spaces means suppose a user wants to define certain identifier, wherein that identifier, if it has one space, that is space bar is there, that means that particular identifier is invalid. Is not possible. So these are the 5 different rules of an identifiers. Let us see certain examples here. So valid example. See, first one is what? N. Here I have written many examples which are separated by the comma. Okay, the first one is what? N. So here n is what? Does this particular n for adhering to the all the rules? Let us check. Okay, n, is it an alphabet? Yes, it is an alphabet, right? Is it starting with an digit? No, it is not starting. So well and good, it is invalid. So case sensitive means if I write a capital N, one more identifier by the capital N, so both will be two different. This is small n. Suppose if I write one more capital N as an identifier in a program, then this small n and capital N both are going to be two different identifiers. Yeah, then is it n is a keyword? No, it is not a keyword. So again, it is invalid. And in this one, there are no spaces. It's just a single letter. So all the rules of the identifier holds good here. If you look in the other one, there is a name here. Just cautiously, if you look, the next is again a name. These two are two different, this name and this name are two different identifiers. Why? Because the first letter here in the first one is a small and second one is in uppercase. It is in lowercase and it is in uppercase. So both are two different because it is case sensitive, right? Then there is something called as a sum. This is also a valid identifier. Then addition, right? It is also an identifier. See, this addition is what? This is a function actually, right? It is a function. Functions are denoted with the open and close brackets, right? Then interestingly, you see here the next example how it is written underscore RNO, right? The first letter is what? It is an underscore. That is also allowed. In the next one, there are certain numbers are there, digits are there, marks 1, right? This 1 is not starting at this particular identifier is not starting with the digit, but it is ending with the digit. So that is possible. So these are the few of the valid examples. Let us see some invalid. So the first invalid is what? 2n. Why it is invalid? Because the first letter is a digit that violates to this particular rule, right? It is starting with the digit, but it cannot be possible. Then next is what? My name. Now if you notice here, after my there is a space and then name is there. That is not possible. It says, the rule says blank spaces cannot be used. Here we are using, in this case we are using a blank space. After y and before n there is a space. That is violation of the rule. So it is an invalid. The next is something called as an int, int. Why it is invalid? Because int is a keyword. Okay, int is one of the keyword. Keyword in the sense it has got its own meaning. That meaning cannot be changed. So these are the invalid identifiers. Okay. The next is variables. Variables are nothing but these are some quantities, okay, that will change during the execution of the program. Right? When we write the program, that program might be doing certain activities, right? Activities in the sense, for an example, if I wish to give a simple example, say you want to calculate the area of a say rectangle. So area of rectangle, what it consists of, what it requires the length and breadth, right? Two different things, two different values are required. So these values may vary depending upon the when you are trying to execute, right? Depending upon the things, the values, that is values of the length and breadth may be different, right? These will change. Since they change, they are called to be a variables. So variables are nothing but these are certain quantities that change during the execution of the program. Okay, these variables, in other terms, variables are nothing but these are certain names which are given to the storage area. Storage area then in the sense whenever a program is executed, it has to be, data has to be stored in the memory, right? That memory has to be accessed by certain names. For example, say if I want to give an analogy, you might be having a house and your house will be having a particular number, right? House number will be there. Your house will be identified by what? That by that particular, your house might be having say name that will be identified, right? So in the same way, if someone wishes to access the storage of the computer, that have to be accessed by a particular name. those names are again called as a variables here. Okay, in another terms, the variable can be defined in this way also. Okay, now variables are nothing but these are the again identifiers only. Means whatever rules which are applicable for defining an identifier holds good for variables. So in simple terms, variables are nothing but the identifiers which a programmer writes in a particular program. Right. So here I'm just repeating all the rules because as a point of examination, you may get a question for a 2 marks or even for a 5 marks. What is variable and what are the rules to define a variable? Right. The rules for defining a variable and the rules for defining an identifier both are same. See, just repeat those rules here. First rule is what? The variable can contain alphabets, digits and underscore. Okay, then it cannot start with the digits, but it can start with the alphabet or even underscore. The lowercase and the uppercase characters or the alphabets are two different alphabets because it is case sensitive. Okay, the fourth one is keywords cannot be used as an identifiers because keywords have got their own meaning, so we cannot use the keywords, and the blank spaces are not supported. Okay, so the same rules which are part of the which we have studied earlier as in the identifier holds good in the variables. The next is constants. Constants are nothing but certain quantities will never change during the execution of the program. For example, say in mathematics you might have come across with one particular term that is related to circles and all. If one wishes to calculate the area of a circle, right? So one should know the value of a pi. Say if the pi value is, if you consider it to be a 3.142, okay, then that particular 3.142 will remain constant. That is, will remain unchanged during the execution of the program. Wherever you wishes to use, whenever you wishes to use that particular constant, that particular quantity, that quantity will remain same. It will never change. Such type of quantities we call them it to be a constants. Again, constants are the user defined, means they are also an identifier. Again, all the rules whatever we have learned as part of identifier still holds good for constants. Okay, so the classification in the constants, we can have the classification like this. Constants can be broadly categorized into a numeric constant and the character constant. As the name suggests, numeric means it consists of certain numbers, right? Character constant means it consists of certain characters or the alphabets basically, right? So numeric constant means, again, if you think of a number can be a integer number. Integer means a whole number, or the number can be a fractional number, right? A number can be a whole number, and or a number can be also a fractional number. Say if a number is 100, that is a whole number. If you take a pi value 3.14, it is having some fractional parts, that is 0.12, right? So since we call it to be a fractional number, right? So in order to handle that one, the numeric constants are further divided into two types. The integer constants. Integer constants are nothing but the whole numbers, and the second one, that is real constants, are nothing but the fractional numbers. Okay. On the other hand, the characters. A character constants may contain a single character or it may contain a group of characters, right? A constant can be like a single character. It may contain only single character, like a A. It can be just as simple as a A. It can be a single character, or it can be a group of characters. Then that group of character is called as a string here. Okay, the string constant. We will learn in detail about this string constant and the string data type. There is one concept called as a data type. In the upcoming sessions we will learn. So the constants are nothing but these are the quantities which will never change during the execution of the programs. These constants can be a numeric, that is number in format, or it can be in the character in format. Number means, again, it can be a whole number, we call it to be an integer constant, or it can be a fractional number, we call it to be a real constant, right? Then the character constant, there we can have a single character, or we can even have a group of characters, that is called as string constants. Next token is operators. Operators are nothing but they are some kind of symbols which are used to perform some type of operations, right? Simple example, suppose if one wishes to calculate the addition, they want to do the sum, then the plus symbol we use, right? So this plus symbol, the plus symbol is one of the operator, right? There are varieties of operations C program supports, right? In detail we will study once we deal with the operators concept. Here only brief information we are learning here. So the operators can be divided into, or the types can be three different types. One is the unary operator, binary operators, and ternary operators. Okay. These names are associated with the number of operands what it contains, right? Basically when you say the addition means say 1 plus 2, right? So 1 plus 2, 1 and 2 are what? These are the operands. How many are there? 2. So based upon the number of operands, the operators are classified here based upon that context. Unary means these type of operators requires only one operand to operate upon. Binary means by, that is 2. These type of operators requires 2 operands. And the third is ternary. Here these type of operators requires 3 operands basically. So in detail we will study in the upcoming classes. Okay, I hope these particular concepts are understood, student. In the next class we will study the structure of the C program. Okay, thank you students.